How's it going? Hopefully you can hear me. Come on in. Just out in the garage doing some work. Figured I'd turn the camera on. You can see me way over here. Let me know if the volume is adequate or if I need to do something else. So I figured, again, I'll turn on the camera since I can basically chew bubblegum and walk at the same time, and just have a brief discussion while I'm doing what I'm doing. If you're interested, you can join me. Otherwise, I'll just be doing my thing. I wanted to discuss, let me know if you can hear me. All right. Oh. All right. Let me, hold on. All right. Just bear with me, stay with me. We'll let people get time to get on in here. Let me know if you can hear me, please. Please leave a comment. Let me know that you can hear me before I get to running my mouth. Access Carlos. All right, let me know. Yeah, you can hear. Okay, how's it sound, Troy A. Jackson? Is it clear? I'm using this little lapel. I'm out in the garage. So I figured I was doing some picking up and cleaning up. I figured I'll turn the mic on and have a little discussion with you. But give me one moment. I'll be right back, okay? You all come on in, make yourself at home. I think there's some beer in the refrigerator. Help yourself. We'll be right back. All right, we are live. Thanks for your patience. Troy Jackson is here. Shout out to you. Thank you for always supporting and for being here, staying faithful and what have you. I have the lapel mic on. If it's not coming through crystal clear, let me know ASAP. But as far as I know, Troy Jackson said, yes, I can hear you. Please excuse my squinting because I don't have my glasses on, obviously. But let me know what state you're hailing from, where you're listening from. All right, see and hear you great. All right, BB Production says it's all good. Troy A. Jackson says I can hear you as well. All right, so with that being said, I guess while I'm out here doing this cleanup and everything, I'm over here because you can still hear me, hopefully. But I guess I wanted to touch on the right to travel, this ideology of one's right to freely travel, to use an automobile, to go down the streets and what have you. I had an earlier discussion with another individual that I hold high regard for and respect, and we had a nice, good half-hour or 45-minute conversation on this very topic. So I think, you know, true to this platform, Knowledgewell Media, in wanting to use this platform to dispel myths and things that, quite frankly, are causing more harm than good to people who are well-meaning. And then you get labeled with things like, with titles such as sovereign citizen and what have you. And we just don't want that to happen. All right, Alfonso Morales is here in the house. Welcome, brother. Hey, I can hear you from Augusta, Georgia. Wow, you took me way back with that one. Look, when I was in the military, that's where I was stationed, in Augusta, Georgia. Wow. And I loved it. I love Augusta, Georgia. It's nice out there. I was a bad boy out there, though. Lots of parties in the military, as you can imagine. But anyways, yeah, a lot of people were getting hurt trying these processes. And I'm still hearing some of these same processes that there's a claim that they're working, and that somebody knows specifically how to maneuver in these, I say, these self proclamations, these processes that someone took a piece of truth and then they added their own spin on it. And then now many people are being subjected to the results of the fallacies regarding those belief systems. Okay. And again, I was talking to this individual. I was telling them, look, you know, the courts and the district attorneys and what have you, they don't necessarily just want to crap all over you. I've been there myself where, you know, it almost appears as if they're willing to listen to you when you bring up these kind of ideologies. And then, you know, but they're like, you know, I understand that you believe what you believe. In other words, they don't want to step on your right to believe in whatever you want. You can believe whatever you want. You have that right. Your imagination is limitless. But when it comes down to, and you're going to hear me repetitively talk about this, when it comes down to what's known as the legal order, all bets are off when it comes to what you perceive to be your individual rights and liberties. Okay. Why is that? Well, because a lot of the legal order has to do with commerce and trade. Okay. And we know that the Congress, which is the third branch of government of the United States government, they have what's called plenary power over commerce and trade. Well, we also know that the United States was founded in 1789. Okay, it was founded in 1789. Before that, it was the article. There were the Articles of Confederation. Okay, when the first 13 colonies got together and unionized. Okay, it was called the United States of America. That is actually the corporation, by the way. And so, but nonetheless, that happened in 1789. Okay, so there was something that pre-existed even the United States Constitution right here on this soil. Okay, and so with that being said, this is a new deal, as it were, right? It's a reconstruction of the system, and so it's called the legal order, and there is a great gulf and a definite distinction between the legal order and the natural order, aka moral law versus, or excuse me, natural law versus positive law. And if you've been around here for any amount of time, you know I talk and speak at length and teach at length about the distinctions between those two. Okay, and if you don't know those distinctions, you may take the occasion to make arguments, or try to make arguments, try to be heard, try to have standing, to claim your natural liberties and natural rights. You're only going to do that if you don't understand that you're not per se, when it comes to the instrumentalities of the legal order, you had those individual liberties are sacrificed when you incorporate into what's called the United States, or into a state wherein you reside. When you incorporate in there, you shed the natural liberties that you once had. A demonstration of that, an example of that, is upon taking the the legal construct known as the legal name. Okay. All right. Let me make sure everybody can still hear me. We're still rocking. Okay. Let me know if there's a problem with the sound, or any crackling or breaking up or anything like that, so I'm not wasting my breath and your time. All right. With that being said, I forgot where I was now, but the legal order, it's important to know the distinction. And this is why people are crying out and saying, but we're supposed to have the right to travel whenever, wherever we want. We're human beings. How can this fictional system tell us we can't drive our car without having to be permitted or licensed? Well, that's a demonstration of the lack of the understanding and knowledge of the system in which you are in. Okay. And a lot of people are arguing also, I didn't sign up for this. I was a baby. How can I contract into this? Well, when you understand the way that the legal order works, okay, everything is by implied agreement. It's known as a social compact. Look it up. That's what it is. It's a social compact. It is inferred and it is implied, and then it is presumed that you are in allegiance, a citizen, etc., etc. And therefore, all you need to do is be born here, and by default, you're considered a citizen. And until that presumption is essentially rebutted, okay, it stands as truth. That's the issue. Now, the other side of that coin, before we get into the right to travel conversation, I'm laying the basics and the fundamentals so that we can have something to stand upon. Okay. Okay, so oh, my bad. Is my chain popping against this mic? That's probably what's happening. My bad. Let me know. Might have to take it off or put the mic in a different location. Let's see here. Looking at the comment section. All right. Troy Ajax says, hi. Hey, BB. Okay. All right. Still good. Nicholas is brushing the mic. Yeah, that's what I figured. Troy Jackson. Okay. All right. Very good. Hey, BB. Okay. Troy Jackson, silence is acquiescence. Correct. Correct. You know, if you have the right, we went over this our last live, you have the right to expatriate at any particular point in time. Now that they recognize, the United States recognizes in 8 USC section 1481. Now they recognize what they call your natural and inherent right to expatriate. You want to talk about the natural rights you have, that is a right that you have, because they know that they can't hold a human hostage. If a human wants to change his or her nationality, they have the right to do that, the human right. And in fact, that is expressly stated in the verbiage of the 8 U.S.C. Section 1481, Revised Statute 1999. That is expressed in there. It says that the United States has recognized your natural and inherent right to expatriate from or to, from your nativity, your nationality, to a different one. In the U.S., it says in that same code, it says that the U.S. recognizes this, and because they recognize this fact, that they have freely received immigrants from all nations. That's what the code says. So you're right about one thing. You do still have some natural and inherent rights, and that affords you the right to terminate your citizenship and to change your nationality at your will. You do have that right. That's in, again, 8 U.S.C. Section 1481. You do have that right. But until you use that right in accordance with the code, right, they are providing you remedy, but they're not going to do it for you. You have to become legally competent or be known as legally competent and be able to administer and manage your own affairs and assert your will. You have to do that. And so people are trying to claim that they are foreign to the United States without going through the legal process. Everything within the legal order has a legal process to it. And if you're making a claim without going through those legal processes, following after what's known as civil procedure and otherwise, if you do that, they're going to say you're failing to make a claim upon which relief may be granted. And your remedy will fail you. That's why it's said and stated. You've heard this over and over again. If you don't know your rights, then you have none. You see what the problem is. And so now talking about this right to travel, this is the reason why that does not work. That argument and claim has not worked, and it continues to fail. Even in the face of some of these citations to a case law, in other words, where it appears that the courts have ruled that that people don't need to be permitted. You don't need a permit or license and all that. But see, again, you're not taking into consideration the distinction between the natural and the artificial. You're not taking that into consideration. When it comes to the legal order, all natural arguments are off the table. They're not available to you because it is presumed, once again, that you have been incorporated into the legal realm, aka the jural sphere. It is presumed, and no one is defeating that presumption. And a lot of the processes that people are calling themselves using to try to defeat that, they are not legally recognized. Therefore, the judiciary nor the executive branch of governments have to act upon it, because they're only required to act in accordance with their constitutional oath to uphold the Constitution and the federal laws. And if that right that you are claiming is not covered under there, then they have no onus or duty to follow through on that. That's why people are baffled that their affidavits and claims that they are making are going unanswered. That's why. Because even though it's in the form of a legal document, aka an affidavit, it lacks authority. It lacks power. Okay? You can't claim to be a Martian from the planet, I don't know, Nibiru, let's just say, here in the legal order. Guess why? Because the law does not recognize citizens, aliens, or what have you from Nibiru. So what claim can you make as a citizen of Nibiru, a visiting alien here to this planet? What claim could you possibly make if there's nothing in the law that even recognizes your capacity to act as an alien from Nibiru? Do you see what I'm saying? You have to have what is known as a legally protectable interest. Without that, if there is no law on the books going to the issue of your perceived right to travel, then they cannot judge, adjudicate on that issue. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? And this is the ongoing issue. Where in the law does it tell you to lay claim to a Treasury direct account? Do you see why there's a problem here? There are no legally protectable interests upon which you can base a claim. So, in a nutshell, whenever you have a question about a process from some guru out there, the only thing you need to do is to check to see if there are any legally protectable interests upon which you can base a claim. For if you do not find one, you will find that you will have your cases dismissed, because they're going to say, again, Federal Rule 12b-6, failure to state a claim, listen to the verbiage, upon which relief may be granted. Upon which, it's not that you're failing to state a claim, it's that you're failing to state a claim upon which relief may be granted. See, the law can't even grant you remedy or relief because the claim that you are making is not found in the law. That's the way of the legal order, my friends. Don't conflate or commingle that with what you idealize as being part of your right to pursue after happiness in life. And you know what I'm saying? Don't commingle that. The law does recognize some of your natural inherent rights. And as I stated before, one of them is the right to expatriate, 8 USC section 1481, revised statute, section 1999. They do recognize that. And there's some other ones. But guess what? The right to travel by way of travel or drive, whatever terminology you want to use, it does not matter. If it's not in the law, it's not covered. All right, looking at the comment section. What happens when you tell them you are not a U.S. citizen? The same thing. The same thing, because guess what? If you have not properly gone through the legal procedure in order to have that defined, your status, your standing defined, if you have not gone to the legal process in order to have a proper judgment or an order from the court, there is nobody in the executive branches of government or administrative branch that has to enforce it, because they only have an onus to go according with the law. So you can't just arbitrarily claim one day because you spent 8 hours watching some guru, streaming all of their videos, and then all of a sudden you got the Brainiac idea that, hey, you know what, that sounds pretty good. You know what, I don't want to be a citizen anymore because I don't like taxes. You can't just arbitrarily and capriciously make that call right now and then expect that the United States and the state in which you reside have to jump right now and do that. No, they have actual literal processes for that type of thing, for expatriation. I believe that process alone is maybe $4,000 or $5,000. Oh yeah, they're going to charge you for it, administrative fees and what have you. They're going to charge you all that. Okay, and then lo and behold, when you think you have escaped responsibility, accountability, and taxes, you're going to find that even when you are taking that oath or whatever like that to expatriate, that you're still going to be required to obey and adhere to the laws of the state in which you reside and of the United States. So what really did you accomplish? What really do you accomplish? Think about it. So that's not really the answer, is it? That's not really the answer. The answer is to learn how to play the game the correct way, quit being disenfranchised by miseducators and misinformation. That's the answer. Your family, your folks have been here all their lives. Did your father, was your mother, were they trying to expatriate or stop paying taxes or anything like that? No, they weren't. More than likely they weren't. Some of our parents might have. But most of them were just living the life, doing the thing, working to retirement. They were ignorant about perhaps the real backstory of, the United States and the New Deal and all that. Maybe they didn't study and research all that, coming up in the 70s and 80s and all that kind of stuff. They were too busy being disenfranchised and distracted by the wars and all that kind of stuff, right? That's what our parents were focused on. 70s, right? Love, peace, you know, and sex and all that kind of stuff, rock and roll and all that. That's what they were enthralled by. This now, our generation is engrossed in technology and now AI and football and all that kind of stuff. See, we each have our own distractions in our own generation. Remember, politics is merely the science of government, the study of how to control the mind or the head. They're running regular experimentation on you to see what makes you tick. Okay, so that only works on people that are distracted. That's how that only works on the people that are distracted. That's what that works on. That's why they call them sheep. You know, all the attributes or connotations of a sheep. You know what it. You know, sheep are supposedly one of the most dumbest animals. That's why they need a shepherd. They don't even know what food to eat. Like literally, they'll eat roots and all that kind of stuff. They'll eat through the grass and start eating dirt and into the roots and all that kind of stuff because they need to be led everywhere. They don't know how to self-administer, self-govern. Okay, and that's what a lot of United States citizens have become. I should say Americans have become United States citizens, right? A lot of them have become that because guess what? They never really were educated about how to administer or manage their own estates and their own affairs. So then a trust was necessary. Then men needed government. Please, you know, protect me because I don't know how to do it myself, right? How many Americans, you know, United States citizens, I should say, how many of them are even looking for ways to basically sacrifice their Second Amendment rights? Like people got them so scared that they're like, oh yeah, let's get rid of the guns. We don't need the guns. And they don't even know the purpose of the guns. They have no clue. You see, those are sheep. Why would you waive your rights that were afforded to you to protect you from tyranny and invasions and all that kind of stuff, right? Why would you give up? Why would that be an argument or even a discussion when it's the Second Amendment to the Constitution? One of the first, you know, why would that be a discussion? Why are we having that discussion? Why is half the country divided and saying, get rid of the guns? Why would you? Yeah, whatever. Makes absolutely no sense. Not to me, at least. It might make sense to some people. It don't make sense to me. But anyways, I digress. So there is no right to travel. There is. Wait. I back that up. I retract that. Strike that from the record. There is a right to travel. So let me show you how that works. Leave the car in the driveway, put your tennis shoes on, and go. You can go wherever you want to. Ain't no police going to require registration for your knees or your legs as you walk anywhere you want to walk. Just make sure you stay away from places that say no trespassing. It's spelled N-O-T-R-E-S. You know what I'm saying? Stay away from stuff like that. But other than that, you can go wherever the heck you want to. You can travel the world. You can do Forrest Gump. You can run from one side of the country to the other side. And guess what? As long as you stay off people's grass or their property, stay out of areas that are labeled no trespassing, stay away from that place called Area 51, stay away from there. Don't go there. Okay? As long as you do that, you ain't gonna have no problem. Who do you think gonna mess with you except for the news? They're gonna be the coverage, just like they did Forrest Gump. You know, but other than that, there is no permit needed for you to walk, jog, run anywhere you want to. That is your right to do. There is no licensing of that. But guess what? When you hop into that automobile, let me tell you the history, the story. Watch this. All right, let me look at the comment section. Okay. Troy A. Jackson said passport. Well, I mean, what about it? I mean, the passport is for United States citizens and non-citizen nationals of the United States. Guess what? Both of those entities owe permanent allegiance to the United States. You're not foreign because of a U.S. passport or sending an explanatory statement or a declaratory statement or whatever with it. That's not accurate, because it clearly says on the passport application, the DS-11 form, that this document, who it is to be used for and by. And it clearly says look right on the top of the page. Okay, it says United States citizens and non-citizen U.S. nationals both owe permanent allegiance to the United States. Troy Jackson said, you said that there was laws before the Constitution. Absolutely. Absolutely. You never heard of the Articles of Confederation? 1777 to 1788. Look it up. All right, Troy Jackson says, so the Constitution has to recognize that state. What state? I lost context. You gotta, Troy Jackson said, why has SCOTUS ruled that we have a right to travel? Yeah, but you're misconstruing what they're actually demonstrating and talking about. Look at the age of the case that made that ruling, though. I can assure you that what they are talking about, matter of factly, is the human right to basically move about. Right now, when it comes to automobiles, that's where I was. When it comes to automobiles, how many of you know where automobiles are born? You know how babies are made? You know how automobiles are made? Correct. They're made by the auto producers. Okay, now let me ask you this. Is there heavy governmental regulation on the automakers? Think about that. Is there heavy governmental regulation on automakers? You think they could just pump out cars? No, they got to conform to specifications that are governmentally regulated. They have to pass strict and stringent safety tests. They have to have proper tolerances. Can you imagine what would happen if the government did not regulate and anybody could produce cars? Could you imagine what a 60-mile-per-hour accident would look like if it wasn't safety tested? People will be mixing aluminum and plastic and all brass building their car. Now, what you think a survival rate of a car going 60 miles per hour made of brass is going to be for anybody involved, you see what I'm saying? That's why there's heavy rate. These cars that you see, they're spitting these off on the assembly line or whatever like that. They're cookie cutter. That's why they can look. Your 2016 Nissan Rogue is going to look the same as my 2016 Nissan Rogue if it's in the same trim model. How do you think that is? You see, they can't just put out all different kinds of cars. There's different regulation behind them. And so with that being said, you purchase those automobiles under heavy scrutiny of the government. You purchase them. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. I got somebody coming in the garage. I'll be right back. Okay? Stay right where you are.
Start your journey today by liking, subscribing, and sharing our YouTube channel, Knowledgewell Media, or by going to our Square site at knowledgewell-media.square.site and perusing over the available content and information. Also by submitting your email at the bottom of the Square site page in the Stay in the Loop section to receive priority information, specials, and other insider details. Or by signing up for a 1-hour consultation to tailor your specific educational needs in beginning your journey. You may do so at the aforementioned Square site, once again at knowledgewell-media.square.site.
Be right back. Stay right there, okay?
There are a few other items in demand on our Square site. The Person Defined series, a 9-part video lecture series, comprehensively outlining the scheme to artfully deceive mankind into trading away his birthright, his natural liberties, and inherent rights. Pre-orders for The Yellow Bricks of Emerald, the first edition, offered presently as an ebook only. This book comprehensively uncovers the legal schemes, past, present, and future, of the elite powers and the U.S., subjecting American citizens to servitude and allegiance due to their own ignorance. The Knowledgewell Video Lecture Series Trust Course, a comprehensive lecture series educating on the history, effects, and administration of the wealth-preserving, asset-protecting, private commercial entity known as a trust. Plus, we have our very own template and instructions to help you set up yours. And coming soon, our apparel and product store for all things Knowledgewell, including shirts, hats, jackets, cups, bumper stickers, and more. For all this.
All right, we are back. Apologize for that long break. Let me look at the comment section here. One moment. So I hope I answered that. You don't have a natural right when it comes to an automobile, okay? Because they are heavily governmentally regulated, and that means that you can't just create your own concoctions or construct your own vehicles and just throw them out on the road, because they have to have seat belts, they have to have airbags nowadays, they have all these different governmental regulations. They have to have that, okay? And so if the government is regulating to keep the public safe while riding in these essentially, you know, metal and rubber and plastic missiles going 60, some 80, some 100 down the road, then that means that the government has that type of authority. And we know which branch of the government has the authority or exercises that authority, because it has to do with commerce. Okay, your car, these automobiles are nothing more than little ships on the land. Okay, that's all they are. There's a whole bunch of different ships, and they're all just transporting product. They're transporting people. You know, that's all they're doing. That's what they were designed to do. And each one of them have their own identification, or AKA VIN number on them, which is also registered with the state. So you got the automobile that is produced by the automaker. They have regulations and identifications and trim and different identifications for that automobile coming off the assembly line. Then you got, once it gets to the lot where it's going to be sold as a brand new car, then when that purchaser buys that automobile, then you're going to have the registration right there on the spot, more times than not now, that's going to register that particular vehicle in the state of Wisconsin or in the state wherein that car ends up going to. Okay. And so again, it becomes governmentally recognized by the state in which you are in. First, it was federally recognized, right? Because I'm sure they have to keep all the tax information for their product. All the automakers, right? They got to report that. Okay. That's the way of the beast, the system. That's the way it goes, y'all. So how can you have full autonomy over a metallic piece of machinery that is heavily regulated by the federal agencies and the state governments, and think that you can just arbitrarily jump in it and not have to register it, title it, put license plates on it, and all that kind of stuff? Come on. I mean, it can't be that way. So you have a right to walk your butt anywhere you want to. You do not have a right, an unbridled right, to take an automobile and get on the King's Highway, AKA to get on Caesar's roads or the state highways or the thoroughfares or the bridges of the thoroughfares. You might want to check out the case Kenosha v. Phillips, where they make the distinction between what is considered the public way and what is considered private. Remember, we don't mix public with private. Well, neither does the legal system, neither does the law, neither does the state in which you reside, and neither does the United States. They don't mix public with private. Okay, these are nothing more than little ships. That's all they are. And they are under heavy governmental regulation. You think you own them, but consider the fact that you are part of what is known as the public trust. Everything is in trust. And that's the way your state chooses to run and conduct its government. That is its political interest. And the states can do that because they are sovereign. They are sovereign nation states. they can conduct their government within their state. And they do this in accordance with what they feel is in the best interest of the public, meaning the people, the government, everything, right? It's bridges, it's highways, it's safety, stoplights, and all that kind of stuff. The states are left to deal with that themselves. It is theirs. It is a sovereign nation state. And the cars that are registered within that state are considered in the public trust. Okay? You are not just because you paid $40,000, $50,000 and you can drive that car off the lot, that does not mean you are no longer, now I'm not part of the public trust. No, that's exactly not right. That's incorrect. All right. Troy Jackson says, okay, who has access to the Bill of Rights? The Bill of Rights. Oh, good question. Good question. The Bill of Rights were initially only for United States citizens, and they were to protect the original people of the United States. Not everybody was considered one of the people of the United States. Okay, we know of a case, I talk about it all the time. Dred Scott v. Sanford was the Supreme Court case, and it was found that, hey, just because you were born here, if your name is not written in the Lamb's Book of Life, aka in the Constitution, and if you were not intended to be recognized by the Constitution as a citizen of the United States, then you were not. You were considered foreign. And in his case, being a Negro slave or born to Negro slaves, he was considered to be a non-qualifying citizen. He couldn't qualify as a United States citizen. So it was not always, you know, the way it is today. Okay. And so the Bill of Rights only protected those whose names were written in the Lamb's Book of Life, known as the Constitution. The founding fathers their idea of this grand experiment was only intended to certain individuals of the 13 colonies and what have you, not to Negro slaves, and not to other foreigners that were not written in the Lamb's Book of the Life. Okay. And so the question is, who had rights to the Bill of Rights, or who were the Bill of Rights for? Initially, only for the United States, the people, we the people. That did not include a lot of us today who are here today. We didn't get grandfathered in or granted or invested with these rights, civil rights and political rights. That didn't happen until 1868 with the 14th Amendment. Okay, Dred Scott was 1857. That's when that decision, when it was discovered. It actually set the U.S. on fire. That decision set the U.S. on fire. People were astounded that Justice Taney had done that much analysis on the situation and found that even though the up north had outlawed slavery, when Dred Scott got up here, when Dred Scott got up here to the north in Missouri, he felt, because slavery was outlawed, that he was free. Well, he found out in short order he wasn't, even up here in the north. And that's allegedly what the Civil War was all about. But my point is that that's what the Bill of Rights were for, not originally for you. Okay, the first 10 amendments. They were originally for only we the people of the United States, we the people. BB Production says, or places that say restricted. Yeah, stay away from that too. My car, my bike, my house are all my property. I mean, I hear you talking. I hear you talking. But what can you do with that car? Can you do anything you want with it? You think you're going to keep it if you do whatever you want? Can you park wherever you want to? I mean, I understand your argument and your assertion, but prove that you can do whatever you want with that car. And I don't have a problem with that. Maybe you have some special immunity. I don't know. I'm just telling you. We all know you cannot do whatever you want with that car, and you can't even do whatever you want with that bike, because as far as I know, they're regulating riding the bike on the sidewalk. They don't want you riding the bike on the sidewalk. They do that. They catch you doing that, you get ticketed, because that's supposed to be for pedestrians only. The sidewalk, right? I mean, tell me that's why they're making bike lanes in the street now. Yeah, even that's a regulation, because they're telling you where you can ride. You can't just ride anywhere in the streets. Not here, at least. I don't know how they do in your state. You can't just ride anywhere you want to. Okay, but you can walk, and you can't even you can't walk on somebody else's property, right? That's trespassing, and if they complain about it, then they'll do something about it. So there's regulation everywhere, and that's just because of the legal order. We are bound together in the legal order. Okay, you'll be hard pressed to find somewhere other than on the side of a cliff or in some remote village or something like that where you can do anything you want. You see what I'm saying? Without some kind of restriction. You're going to be hard pressed to find that nowadays, because guess what? Government has grown. It's big government. Meaning it's big legal order. It's big statutes, codes, ordinances. So you can't. It's hard. Because we've been sacrificing for so long a lot of those natural liberties. We've been sacrificing them. Because what do you think happens when you can't administer or manage your own affairs? What do you think happens when you cry for government to come and provide government subsidies, social welfare programs, social security administration programs? What do you think that is taking place? You're crying to government because to an artificial entity. You're crying to it as your God and saying, rescue me, save me, help us. Okay. And so when they do, it comes with a price. You sacrifice some of those individual liberties and rights. All right. Wolf Starkart says, greetings. Welcome, Wolf. Thanks for being here. Bishop McBone, Knowledgewell Media. Good evening to you as well. If you have something you want to share, I'll definitely put the, let me see here. Oh boy, why did I do that? Hold on real quick. Troya Jackson says transport is a commercial word. Sure it is. There's a whole lot of them. But see, a lot of people are splitting hairs, basically. Oh, I'm not driving, I'm traveling. That doesn't mean anything to them. Is that a hunk of metal, plastic with seats and stuff inside of it? Does it not have an engine in it? Okay, does it not have a VIN number on that tag? Okay, that's the property under the state in which it is registered. That's all that comes down to. There is no argument about what you label what it is you're doing. They don't care about that. They care about the fact that that automobile is on the public way. And it's the job of the government to protect the public, the people, from that automobile just going wherever it wants to. That's the way that they look at it. Okay, that's under the legal order. Twins, tell them you are registering out of state. Fine, yeah, I don't see a problem with that. But what are you trying to accomplish? Because you're not going to. You might do some. There might be some loopholes and things like that. You can try to operate, right? But that's not going to change the situation. It's not going to change the situation. The situation is that all things are in public trust. That's just what it is. All things are in public trust. They are basically the property. You're registering that property to the state, and the state it thrives off of your participation in incorporation. Without you, it doesn't exist. The governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. Okay, that's where the government gets its powers. The more you ask for the government to give you something or do something for you, the more powerful it gets. Gary Mendez says, interesting, America was designed to almost be completely dependent on a personal vehicle. Interesting. America was designed to almost be completely dependent on a personal vehicle. I'm not sure what angle you are taking on that. Dependent on a personal vehicle. America. America. I'm trying to wrap my head around that. Can you put that in a different way that I can maybe speak to? Because right now I don't get it. Like, what are you saying? Try and put it in a different way. A little motor. We have to have fun with that. Where can I put this? So anyways, yeah, I'm taking your comments, questions, challenges, adverse positions, whatever. Bring it while I'm out here trying to pick up the garage. Full star card. I disagree that a private corporation government has no inherent right to govern a man absent of his consent. Okay, that's a whole lot. Let me see if I can. I disagree that a private corporation government has no inherent right to govern a man absent of his consent. There's so much in there. You disagree that a government has no inherent, you put that so many flip-flop ways. Okay, so basically you're saying you believe that the government has inherent rights to govern a man even without his consent. Is that what you're saying? You believe that governments have a right to govern a man without his consent? Is that what you're saying, Wolf Starkart? Clear that up for me. Oh my God, you are writing a lot, my man. I'm trying to read this little screen with no glasses. Yes, there's the issue of the minimum contacts that must be handled in addition. Notice must be given. However, a mere private for-profit corporations do not have a right to do whatever. And then it got cut off. I'm not even sure what you're really arguing. There's the issue of the minimum contacts. Look, yeah, I mean, if you incorporate into all of you are presumed to have incorporated. You do know that, right? Everybody is presumed upon birth to have incorporated. It doesn't matter whether you want to make the argument that I didn't know what I was doing. Well, you might not have, but apparently somebody did. You're here. You survived past the conventional mortality rate. You are alive and you are still in your state, or you have moved, but you are still in existence and recognized by the legal order. So what does it matter? Like, who cares that you didn't sign it? What does it matter? Somebody did. Somebody inducted you or incorporated you in from a child, and you didn't know any better, and you were supposed to have found out and known better by the age of 18 or the age of the majority. So if you didn't do something about it at that particular point in time at the age of 18, it is assumed that you are complicit. That's why it's called an implied agreement. Citizenship or an act of incorporation into a state is considered an implied agreement. It's considered a social compact, not a express written contract. It's called a social compact. It's just assumed that you're good. You're here. You're loving it. You're living. You're taking the benefits and the privileges and you're using the immunities properly. That's what is presumed. But the question is, have you defeated the presumption? And you cannot do that with your own self-made processes. You can't do that. The law already has a process for it. It's called expatriation. That's what it's called. People, Bishop MacBone says people cry for government. Oh, did I put the? I didn't put the. Hold on. I don't even know if I should do that because, I mean, I'll put the StreamYard link in the chat. I don't even know if I should do that because I'm not even sure if I'll be able to hear you because while I'm walking around. But I mean, I guess we can try. If anybody wants to come on and make a comment or whatever, or have a discussion, I just put the link in the chat. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, please, as you come on in, the like button, and make sure that you share this. Let somebody know we're live. All right, Gary Mendes says, oh, did I skip one? People cry for government when they have desperate situations coming from a lack of self-control. That is precisely how it works. And that is the purpose of government. That's what we have come to know as government. Okay? Someone else might call it something else. But when it comes down to it, okay, you got to recall and remember that there were founding fathers to this deal, meaning there were creators and designers of this system, and they had an idea in mind, and they enacted that idea, and it's been going on for over 200 something years. Okay, so what they had designed did not include most of us. It only included the colonizers and their ilk. That's it. But they opened up the floodgates because of the whole slavery issue, the North and the South battling, and all kinds of things. Dred Scott decision, 1857, the Civil War, the Gullah Geechee, Black Seminoles, and all that kind of stuff were tearing up the countryside. They had beat the military. They had beat the Texas Rangers. They were about to take over. This was going to be a whole nother Africa or Egypt or whatever. That's what it was going to be, contrary to popular belief. But check your own due diligence at the door. Anyways, but that's what was going on. Yeah, when you cry for government, that's the result. All right, Gary Mendez says you need a car in America to get around. Nothing is walkable. No good train service, no good bus service, car-dependent suburbs, large parking lot strip, malls, etc. Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, that's whose fault is that? Right? Whose fault is that? We want to go faster. We want to go farther. We want to go harder. We want to go longer. So man comes up with all of these inventions and things like that. Next thing you know, rural areas become, suburbia. Suburbia becomes city. City becomes mega cities, twin cities, et cetera, et cetera. We just keep getting bigger and bigger. Right. Well, that's the human condition. We are never satisfied when we always want more. And so, again, when you do that, of course, you're going to have a greater concentration of crime. So therefore, private security is necessary. Police forces, sheriffs become more necessary. Right. Government gets bigger. That's all the fallout of the greed of men. The 7 deadly sins. Greed is one of those. So we just pay the consequence in the long run. Because you sure you wanted this? You wanted a big old New York City, the Big Apple. You wanted that. You want skyscrapers everywhere, twin towers here, banks everywhere. You wanted it big. Here it is. Right. But with that comes what? More police officers, more laws, statutes, codes, and ordinances, more heavy regulation, more corruption, more crime. Do you see what I'm saying? So to address your statement there, yeah, you're dependent on automobiles now because you needed to go faster to get to somewhere quicker. And as a result, the more of these conveniences you take on, the more contracting you do. The more contracting you do, the more in debt people are, right? That's the way of the beast. That's why it's called a beast. It's the beast system. All right. All right, looking forward. Will Starkart said, no, I'm not even sure the context of that. I apologize. Let me see if I can look back. Minimum context that must be handled in addition. This must be here. However, a mere private or corporation do not have a right to do whatever. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's been a long day already. All right. Eric Merritt's in the building. What's going on, Eric? I understand what you are saying, but if you don't agree to that contract, it is not void. It is null and void. You must be doing speaking or something like speech recognition. That's funny that it's spelled that, but it sounds right. So I was able to pick it up. But you said it. But if you don't agree to that contract, it is null and void. Well, in the contrary. Okay, it's already presumed that you did agree to it, so it's presumed that you do agree. It's bona fide. You see what I'm saying? It's a valid contract. You can't have for 28 years of your life or 38 years of your life have been doing things that imply and infer that you are a citizen, and then one day say, "Wait a minute, but I never agreed to it, so therefore it's null and void." That's not the way law or contract law works. You have been doing this. Think about it. You've been in all the public schools, I'm sure, right? Unless you went to some private schools like I did, but still, nonetheless, there was registration there. You had a passport, perhaps. You had a driver's license at one point in your time since you were 16 years old. Now you're 30, 40, 50 years old. You think it's not inferred or implied that you've been in agreement and in compliance with the social order all this time? Really? How many credit cards have you had? How many banking accounts have you established since you were of age? That's why it's called a social compact, because it's by your activities. It's inferred and implied. It's a social compact, not a contract, a compact. So again, it's too late to argue that I never agreed to it, because all this time you've been living in it. You've been taking benefits and privileges. Perhaps your mom grew up on the welfare system, and perhaps you did. I don't know. I grew up on the welfare system, right? So how are you going to say, when they've been feeding you and cutting you checks and all that, did you take the PPE loans during the whole COVID debacle? Huh? Did you take any benefits from the state? Right? Has a fireman came and saved you out of a house? Has a police officer came to your rescue when you were in trouble? Who did you call? Have you ever called 911? Have you used that system? You gotta be real about this. It's not an emotional engagement. You got to think rational about this. Okay, it's just the legal order. It's not meant to hurt you per se, right? There is corruption. I'm not saying there's not corruption, but the system as a whole is not designed to hurt you. It's just a system. It actually was created by well, it was helped. Your family helped build it. I'll say that. That's probably more correct. They helped build it, and they loved it, and they came over here with a dream. You know, there's gold in the streets over there. Hop on this ship and sail for 6 months to get there. That's what your family did. Hey, if you are truly African, okay, fine. You know, you were stolen or something, or you were traded. Okay, we already know the stories and all that kind of stuff. Okay, but that does not change that you are here. You had nothing to do with that. Even though you might know stories of your forefathers and foremothers, but that had nothing to do with it. You're still here right now, and you've been here since your birth, and you've been racking up. You've been, stacking money. You've been working jobs. That's all I'm saying. It's just a system. That's all it is. Learn it. Be good at it. Eric Merritt says, you do understand that a contract is not void if you don't know, willing and knowing, understand anything of the contract. Well, that depends. That depends. If you didn't have full consideration of the contract and its terms, then yeah, you can argue that. You can argue that. But guess what? You have to argue that. What you think? You just make that claim arbitrarily, just put it out in the air? Oh, this contract right here? Oh no, I didn't even read the terms and conditions. I didn't even understand it. What you mean? Well, first of all, again, I've said it maybe 2 or 3 times. It's not a social contract. It's a social compact. You got to know the difference between the two. Okay, the state is a political community, aka a jural society, and it is recognized under positive law. Positive law are the enactments of a duly authorized legislature, meaning the people, the body, the governmental body known as the legislature recognizes and sanctions the state. It's that type of an entity. It's a jural entity. It's governed under positive law. So a body of men and women get together and make laws that govern that state, or that, you know what I mean? And then the people that choose to incorporate into that state through a process known as citizenship are bound by what is known as a social compact. And the United States 14th Amendment spells it out. And it says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States or in the state in which they reside are citizens of the United States. You see, that is the agreement. That is the social compact. And if you incorporated, or your parents incorporated you, or you were born here or whatever, you fit the bill. It's not a debate. It's not like, were you able to read at 3 years old to enter into this social compact? That's not what a social compact is. This is an implied agreement, meaning by your actions, by your residence, by your political activities, by taking a driver's license, by getting a passport, by having a state ID. All of these are used as evidences and proof of your allegiance to the state in which you reside and the United States. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? That it's a social compact. It's an implied agreement. It's all by what you do. Okay, that's what it is. That's why you can tomorrow I can make the decision to move from Wisconsin, where I'm at now, to Illinois. I can just pick up and move, and it will be implied by that activity and by the length of time that I am there that I am wanting to stay here. I am now a resident of Illinois. See, it's an implied thing. It's not, I didn't have to necessarily sign a sheet upon wanting to move. That's not the way it works. Okay. All right. I got two people. I got Wolf in the queue. Let's see if we can get him on. And I got Mac Bone. All right. Welcome, everybody.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Hey.
Can everybody hear?
Yeah.
All
Hey,
right, go
Wolf,
ahead.
how you doing, man?
All right, go ahead, Wolf. Did you want to start? You have something you want to talk about?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. First off, can you hear me well?
I mean, it's hard for me to hear you. I mean, I can hear you right now a little bit. Because I'm on my phone. But go ahead. The people can hear you.
So what I was saying is I was disagreeing about is that government is nothing but a mere private corporation for profit, right? As in the Clearfield Doctrine, being that they deal with securities or negotiable instruments. And this includes their courts, peace officers, or any other type of public works. And yeah, I agree with the social compact aspect. However, a man or woman still needs to give consent, as we all have heard, contract law, right? You know, just like you had brought up. So that's what I wanted to clarify. And regarding to, you know, a private automobile. And I was addressing the fact that there are the minimum points of contact that need to be addressed, rescission or expatriation, as you brought forth. But for a private corporation, no different than Walmart, to just say, hey, we can do what we want because of your action or inaction or acquiescence. A lot of us just don't agree with that. We're going to go ahead and fight it in court if need be.
Yeah. So in addressing that, in addressing that, there's a lot of background noise. Why don't you mute while I'm responding to you, Wolf?
How do I do that?
See if maybe I can mute you. Hold on. Okay, you're muted. Okay. All right. So I understand the sentiment. I get the sentiment. Unfortunately, hold on. Unfortunately, that's the way of the beast. Okay. First of all, the government is not necessarily a corporation. I think we've covered that. I think I've proven that. I think I've debated that. The United States government is after the order of a headquarter office for a large corporation, right? It's the headquarter. All right. The actual corporation is the United States of America. If you don't believe that, you might want to look into the Articles of Confederation, 1777 to 1788, where it spells it out for you. It talks about the act of incorporation or the incorporating document. It talks about the 13 colonies coming together as one under one name. If you understand the definition of a corporation, that is explicitly what it is. When multiple parts come together and act as one under one name, that is an act of incorporation. In this case, a confederation or what have you, a union. Okay. And now we have 50 added to the union, as opposed to back then in 1777, only 13 colonies. Okay. And so it also goes on to state, if you look at that Articles of Confederation, it tells you the name of the confederation. So not only does it tell you that the 13 came together and acted as one, it actually goes a step further and tells you the legal name of that incorporation. Okay, so again, my assertion is that the United States, the 10-mile square that you're always talking about, that we're always talking about, that is not a corporation. That is the headquarter office where all the executives, am I losing everybody? Where all the executives sit. That is the seat of the US government over the corporation. Okay, so are you still there, Wolf?
Yeah, nice. Well, I mean, I can hear you.
All right, Mac Bone, what did you have to say? We'll wait on Wolf to get back in.
Well, you know, the thing about it, you know, even pimping and hoeing has a contract and a compact. When that prostitute walks up and down the track, she is implying that she's agreeing to the contract she made in the choosing fee in choosing a pimp. So when you
Yeah, that's an interesting analogy. I can't say I disagree, but yeah.
I mean, it's like the first time you make an agreement to participate in this positive law universe is when you accept the condition of accepting the taking of a social security number. And then you have further participation every time you shop at the supermarket or every time you shop at a hardware store, making purchases of certain items. They even have a barcode at the end of that receipt every time you make that purchase, which is registered with a certain government entity concerning commerce.
Hey, Mac Bone.
Yes.
Is it possible for you to put on a headset? They're saying that you're feeding back.
I already have my headset on. A wired headset.
You do?
Plugged to my phone.
Okay, I'm not sure why it's feeding back. Are you listening? Wait, you on a headset? You on a Bluetooth?
No, that's a wired headset.
Hold on real quick. Hold on. Let's see if I can get. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I just had to change the settings on my StreamYard. Yeah, I did put in the echolocation check. I checked the echolocation. Can you hear me now? Do you hear echo? Oh. Echolocation done. Audio.
All right, are you there?
Yeah,
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, Wolf, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, very good. All right, go ahead and mute again, Wolf. You're pretty loud. Okay, Mac Bone, go ahead. What were you saying now?
Well, like every time you make a purchase at a certain like grocery store or hardware store, you also shows that you already have a compact in the participation of this system of commerce. You know, that's why they even got the barcode in your receipt when you make the purchase. That does register with a certain government entity controlling that commerce in whatever state you are doing commerce in.
Okay, I mean, I don't disagree. Wolf, what do you got to say? Hopefully your background is not too loud.
So, can you hear me now? Is that better?
I can hear you. Yep.
All right. So the disagreement here, as far as what I'm bringing, is that it is understood by all of us out here that, yeah, we were put into this system, the social compact, through the many points of contact, whether it be your birth certificate, SS5, and so on and so forth. The disagreement is now that we are aware, we've come into, in a sense, maturity. It's about what are we going to do about it. And some of us, like myself, we are enforcing our own rights here. The right to be able to travel. And even when you go to Black's Law or Bouvier and you look up traveler and traveling and its distinctions absent of commerce, right? Because we know that these courts operate in an Article 1 capacity. It's a legislative tribunal, or underneath the Colorable Admiralty Maritime condition of contract. So now that we're aware of these things, we don't have anything that was expressed, and yeah, it's implied through the social compact on either our acquiescence or actions, like you said, taking benefits and whatnot from the state or the government in general. So that's what I'm disagreeing with. Just overall, in short, is that they're a private corporation. They don't have inherent rights to do anything. In fact, most of them don't even do what they're supposed to be doing in the first place, just secure and protect what is guaranteed.
Who is they that you're talking about? Who is they?
Anyone that has an oath of office under Title 5, subsection 331.
Okay, so you're saying
Event.
so you're still under the impression that the United States 10 mile square is a corporation?
No, it's not just a corporation. What is it? 28 USC 300215 A, B, and C. Anything, even Walmart is an agency because they curate information for the federal government for tax purposes. Therefore, they're an extension through action and through contract. It's expressed.
Right, but I'm trying to I'm trying to get you to answer my question. So is it or is it not a corporation?
The United States is, after 1871, yes, it is a corporation. It is a corporate entity with a board,
Okay,
and a president.
okay, well, okay. So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Are you familiar with the founding of a corporation?
Like the letters of the organization of a corporation?
Yeah, how to create a corporation.
I'm familiar with some of it, yeah, as I've got two businesses myself, two entities.
Okay, so now if you've ever worked for a larger corporation, you know that you can work in a particular building in a particular state, right? And it can, where the headquarter office may not even be in that same state. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm contending is actually what is happening. The United States, the seat of the government where the executives sit, is not considered the corporation. That's considered the headquarter where the president, CEO, CFO, treasury is at. That's why it's only 10 miles square. That is called the seat of the government of the United States. The actual corporation would be where the actual wheels and mechanics and production of whatever the product is, the gross domestic product, wherever that is at, that is actually where the corporation is, where the functionality happens. And that's what the United States of America is. Okay? And I was saying, I don't think you heard me, but if you look at the Articles of Confederation, it spells out its founding in 1777, and it talks about the 13 colonies that came together as one. And it goes on further to talk about the name, or AKA style, S-T-I-L-E, that unification, confederation would take on. And it says that name will be the United States of America. So when you found a corporation, when all the shareholders and the executives, officers, and all that come together at the founding of a corporation, okay, then they have to name the corporation. for a corporation must have its own separate legal name. Otherwise, it cannot have recognition in law. Go ahead. Magbone, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, that's the thing. Anytime you start a business, you have to identify who are going to be the board of trustees concerning the formation of this corporation, who's going to be the CEO, who's going to be the officers, executing the orders, and who's going to legislate the standards, values, and principles of that corporation. You look at the way the system is made, the standards and values and principles of which this corporation is run are known as the uniform, commercial codes, laws, and regulations. So there's always going to be a compact and a contract which solidifies the compact of what you're doing within the system. And even the process which you expatriate has a compact, a legal contract leading up out of this contracted system.
That is correct. Can you speak to, I don't know whether you agree with me or agree with Wolf about the corporation issue? Which one is the corporation? Is it the United States, the seat of government, 10 Mile Square? Is that the corporation? Or is the United States of America, the incorporated confederacy, is that the actual corporation?
Well, the actual corporation is, of course, the United States. Now, the corporate headquarters is Washington, D.C.
That's what I'm asking. So do you think that the 10 Mile Square, is it your understanding that the 10 Mile Square is actually the corporation?
Well, the 10 Mile Square is the corporate headquarters because that's the seat from which they run executive orders concerning commerce and regulations. The United States, I agree. Yeah, because anytime they have a decision about whether it be about transportation, about military operations, or about medical matters, when it covers a nationwide field, they make those decisions at the corporate headquarters in Washington, D.C. It's sort of like when you are dealing with a certain state, like the state of Arkansas, where I'm from. The state of Arkansas is like a corporation, but the headquarters of that state of Arkansas is the capital city, Little Rock. But they make decisions concerning the state. So it's the same principle.
Very good. I agree 100%. Go ahead, Wolf.
Well, I mean, for clarification, I don't have a dissenting opinion on whether the United States of America with the the incorporation of it, or the United States in 1871 being created. The issue being is that the officers of the United States and its territories or federal subdivisions are willful with intent to be misleading under these commercial actions. I don't have an issue at all with an 18-wheeler being regulated because there's a lot of safety that needs to go into that. And it is employed for commerce on the public and the public highways and byways. It's not an issue with that. But you and I both know we take our damn automobile, just like anyone else, to work or to home or to anywhere, to the hose house. It doesn't matter. We're not engaged in commerce. We're not engaged in it. In fact, every police department needs to be wearing different uniforms that identifies that they are in commercial activity, corporate fucking bylaws. And the sheriff's department is the only one that's supposed to be here for us living men and women. However, in the state of California, or at least Sacramento, in 1850, the sheriff's department was incorporated. So they created their own compact. And, that's where I'm going to traverse these facts here with these people, because it is intent. They have nothing but contempt for us. They look at us as lower, and, that's just not acceptable. Spent 10 years in the Army serving a private corporation for, I was a underpaid murderer, basically. And that's the only way I look at it.
Yeah, let me think about it. Even war is based on commerce in the state as well.
Oh, yeah. Always. The first thing I was told when I got to basic training is business is good and business is killing.
Yeah.
So
let me address your statement about not being in commerce when you're on the roads. If you check out the case Kenosha v. Phillips, okay, It's a great case. It's out of my state of Wisconsin, Kenosha v. Phillips. It's a recent case. This case had to do with can you all hear me?
Yes.
All right. It had to do with a man who was found drunk behind the wheel of the car. So he got an OWI, they did a blood test and all that kind of stuff. And not only, please mute your background. Please mute your background. Okay, so it had to do with a man who was found sleeping and drunk with the car running in a parking lot. Okay, and so he got an OWI. They gave him a blood test and all that kind of stuff. And obviously it came back positive. He was well over the limit. He beat the case. Ask me how. He beat the case because what they did was they analyzed the statute. The statute talks about obviously an OWI. I think everybody knows operating while intoxicated, right? You're not supposed to be over a certain limit. Okay, I think it's 0.08 here in the state of Wisconsin. Otherwise, you're considered intoxicated and OWI is issued. He beat the case because of the fact that when it came down to trying to define the intent of the legislature, which was for this statute to apply to driving in the public or on the public highways, the thoroughfares, and the bridges. When his attorney was able to show that the parking lot of this establishment was not in fact construed to be the public, they had to throw the case out because the courts defined what is considered public. And this is what it is: the highway, the thoroughfare, and the bridges over each of those. Well, this particular individual, Phillips, was parked in a parking lot. Now, they went a step further because, of course, the state or prosecutor is going to fight. And so they next said, well, wait a minute. How do we know that this parking lot is not considered public or public way? And so they looked at several things. Well, one of the things they found was there was a sign that was posted in the parking lot that said, for patrons only. For patrons only, meaning that it is basically discriminating against anybody except for those who are actually working here at this establishment. That was point one. Point two, was there any solicitation that anybody can park here? Or was there an event, or were there special tickets handed out that allowed the public to come in? Or was the sign saying open to the public or anything like that? Which, of course, there was not. And that's how Phillips won the case. Not because he wasn't drunk, not because he wasn't the car wasn't running, but because he was not considered in the public way. And the public way is commerce. That's why it's called the public way. And so ask yourself a question in light of this case. When you are driving your automobile other than on your parking slab or in your garage or whatever on your private land, are you considered in commerce? This case says yes, because it is known as the public way unless there is signage that makes it private. Go ahead, sound off, MacBone.
Well, you know, that's the thing. Like when you traveling on the public highways or public streets, that means you're dealing with like public commerce. Now, when you are parked on your own property, that's private. It's sort of like when you're in the parking lot. Now, if you're in the parking lot of somebody else's property, that's still private because you're in somebody else's property. That's still private. Because
Correct.
like I said, talk about patrons only. If it's about patrons only, that means you out of the public sector into the private sector because you own somebody else's property. You're in like a private map. And you know, that's the thing about like the vehicle which you in. I mean, you look at the VIN number on the outside of the vehicle, but the stuff that's within the vehicle is private.
That's right.
Because there's no VIN numbers in the vehicle. on the vehicle outside of it. That's
Well,
why
think about. Well,
that's why the police officer asks you to exit. That's why when you get stopped over, that's why police officers ask you to exit the vehicle so you can be in their private jurisdiction because you are still within your private jurisdiction. Are you inside the vehicle?
that's right, and they're not supposed to enter without a warrant or without probable cause.
That's right.
Okay,
They
go
gotta
ahead,
have probable
Wolf.
cause and warrant to enter in your vehicle. Yes.
All right, go ahead, Wolf. Sound off.
All right. So, first thing I would say in that matter, that case that you read off there is, for the record and on the record, what is your definition of public? Where did you derive that definition? And how many senses are that? And how is it construed within this legislative tribunal? And go ahead and put that on the record so I can know exactly what it is that you mean by this. What is it defined by this? Otherwise, you couldn't mount a proper defense on the concepts of what is public and what is not public. There's too many senses to that definition alone. So I would compel them to do that and give a cornering question off of that. And however, I just want to bring forth to what Mac was saying. I live in the municipality of Rancho Cordova within the county of Sacramento. Rancho Cordova, this municipality has taken it upon itself without notice to create an umbrella of a HOA, and they do not consider your private property actually private anymore. In fact, they will have code enforcement come and harass you without a compelling public interest, such as hazards or something of that nature. And they will fine you. They will take you into court and sue you absent of an injury. Once again, we're going back into these Article 1 legislative courts, which require a contract or an agreement. And yeah, it's presumed. It's always presumed until you rebut that. I mean, shit. Color of law operates on presumption. We're not new to this game, but that's where we start to get intelligent, right, and we mount a proper defense and assert what is right and what is wrong. I'm not questioning, once again, safety. I mean, come on. I don't want dangers out here, like I said, with the 18-wheeler or other commercial activities, right? I don't want a car driving around where its tire flies off and kills me. There's common sense here. However, you can't sit there and do, in a sense, like a thought crime, right? Or a thought crime of an infraction because it's presumed that you may be, and then you're going to go look for probable cause, such as an officer, police officer, and really they're enforcing policies absent of an express contract. And yeah, it is a social compact, but I'm going to contest it because I'm aware of it now. And ignorance of the law is no excuse, and that blade will cut both ways. So
I think it comes down to
for those who enforce the law.
What's that?
I mean, that's what I was wondering, Black Wolf, when you talked about that new law in the place where you dwell at. I mean, one of the first steps to find out is that who consented to that, during that tribunal and the making of that code and law. That's where they find out about that. And find out how to counteract
correct. That. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's a matter of, do you want to traverse the facts, or do you want to just settle and close the matter with one of the bonds of the courts, or if you're going to traverse the facts and go through it and go to a bench trial or jury trial for the matter and, make it a precedent and expose, the little wizard behind the curtain really isn't all that grand of a wizard. I mean, in a sense, Courtney, you bring up good points on morality, right? Such as, if I'm operating a vehicle, right, which is a commercial term, or even my automobile, if I know it's a fucking danger to society, to people around me, to men and women, children, dogs, then yeah, I'm imposing a danger that's known. And if I accidentally harm someone, then that's negligence. And I'm guilty of that. That's a crime. I knew better. I did it anyways. But if I'm over here operating my automobile private, go ahead.
That's the whole point, though.
Go ahead.
How can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? All right. That's the whole point, though. When are you considered in the public? And because if you're in the public or upon the public highway or the thoroughfares or the bridges, then you don't have a private right to travel because you are not in the private. You are now in the public.
Are you there?
I am.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Yeah,
you.
no, I can. You cut out. You cut out for me for a second.
What didn't you hear me say? I mean, what did you hear me
You
say?
said you were asking basically when are you defined that you're in the public, right? On the highways and byways. Is what I was
Correct.
hearing you.
Right. So would you agree that when you're in the public, you are not in the private?
I think that's a great question. I think it can go both ways. There's not a black and white answer to that.
Well, what's considered the public?
Once again, that depends on who's bringing forth that question. The public could be referred to
Well, we're
any
talking
type
about the
of
legal order. We're talking about statute, state statute in the legal order. That's what we're talking about. So they write the laws.
so
The
like
legislative body writes the laws.
right, and so once again, like I said, then these municipalities no longer recognize the distinction that there is a private. And I
Well,
personally
yeah.
have just
Well,
gone through
sure they
that.
do. Well, sure they do. If they cannot arbitrarily run up in your house and take you and pull you out, or pull you just arbitrarily out of your car without probable cause, they are recognizing the private.
I mean, according
And
to the
how many?
law and language of the law, they have to recognize that. According to the language of the law and the law that's established, they have to recognize that.
And I don't disagree with that, but how many times have we seen that does not happen at all? There's no injury in fact to any man or woman
Well, you
or
got to
property.
hold on real fast. Hold on. So you got to take into consideration not the 10 people that have been abused by the system by corrupt people. You have to look at the whole system and then say as to whether hey, mute your background, man. You got a lot of noise back there again.
All right, hold on.
So we're talking about the fruit of the poisonous tree, so to speak, right?
Well, no, I'm talking about just the totality of the situation, what he's talking about. You can't judge the system as to its equity or its lawfulness by the actions of a few bad cops. You got to ask yourself a question. Is the system predominantly allowing cops to harm you arbitrarily and capriciously without due process? Or is that are there small cases of that around the country?
You're talking about the isolated cases. Talk about the isolated cases of police brutality where it's not sanctioned by law. That's only like maybe infrequent instances of that happening.
Right. It's not overly saturated. Our complete system, like you literally do not have to fear right now. At any given moment, you go outside of your house, you're going to get shot by a police officer who is rogue. Okay, the good outweigh the bad. You have more chances of survival by, the police doing their job than you do being killed by one that is erroneously applying law or acting under color of law. Go ahead, somebody.
And now, even under the established laws and regulations, it's like they have more strict policies in the recruitment and the induction of police officers to this day. Ever since the Serpico incident in New York City in the 70s. Now they're more stringent and strict concerning their recruitment and training and inductment of people in the police force more than ever.
Yeah, I can believe that. Go ahead, Wolf.
I'm still gonna have to have a dissenting opinion on that one.
Okay.
I haven't gone and like obviously I can't give you the numerical value of these cases, but like I said, the police department, no one's actually entitled to. All right, they provide a service basis on commerce. All right, the sheriff's department, they're supposed to be for us. They're the ones that are gonna follow that guarantee, secure and protect what has been guaranteed. However, both departments and agencies engage in commercial activities in yeah, a lot of them are ignorant. They don't know any better, but there's no excuse for that. And you know,
Of
when a man
course.
or woman gets harassed, stalkified, they run your plate, right? That's a violation of your Fourth Amendment. That's a search, and then that's a seizure of private information. They didn't have any just cause for that. All right, there's no reasonable articulable suspicion that a misdemeanor or felony that constitutes a harm, injury, or loss to a man or woman had actually occurred or was about to occur. Absent of an actual warrant in his chain of custody, that asshole just flashed his lights at you and committed a felony. Now he's fucking arrested you on the spot. It's called a custodial arrest. We'll say I'm detaining you, and this is my probable cause, which is 9 out of 10 times horseshit. So no, it's just
Well,
harassment, it's
well,
stalking, and
well, are
that's
you talking
violent. That
about
is a
every?
violent action.
Well, are you talking about
Go ahead.
every situation? Or are you talking about isolated events?
I'm talking about, all right, so obviously I don't go around I don't chase cops, right? But every time I see someone on the side of the road, oh, they were going 20 over the speed limit. Not recklessly, they're just 20 over, 30 over. That cop, that CHP, that sheriff just committed a felony. There was no imminent threat, and it's been ruled time and time again that the automobile does not pose as an imminent danger. You know,
It does.
so
Well, okay. So it depends on the event. It depends on the situation, right?
Yeah,
The
totality
police
of
are.
circumstances.
The question is there a state statute that says that you must drive 60 miles per hour?
oh, well, hold on. I'd have to rebut to that. You know, Rodriguez versus Ray Donovan, 1985. You know, code, statutes, rules, regulations, municipal codes, ordinances, they don't apply to, they use the word natural person, but we'll just say man and woman here. It doesn't apply to us. That
You're
only,
right.
statutes, codes, rules, and regulations only apply to the officers of the United States and its employees.
Well, that's not.
So they can get bent. They
Well,
can
that's
get
not
bent with that.
necessarily true.
But let's look at this. A penal code, right? A penal code goes to a penal action, which is a penal
Well,
sum. It's a pecuniary interest. It's a lien. It's a tax. So
well,
that's
let's
all
not
that
go
they're
down
doing.
that road right now. Let's not go down that road right now. Let's address the topic that you mentioned. So the topic that you said is that basically there's a statute there in the state in which you reside that sets the speed limit. So you're saying that now there's a court case which trumps the state law in regulation of speed limits?
Correct. Because a speed limit,
Well,
to my
that would be a
comprehension,
violation. That would be a violation of the separation of powers.
okay, but we're talking about an officer of the court, right? An officer that comes along, flashes your lights, absent of an emergency, absent of a warrant, absent of a
No,
victim, which now has
police
created
are
a felony
police.
on their behalf.
Police are not officers of the court. Attorneys and lawyers
Are
are
you
officers of the court.
are you sure?
Yes, because they can't violate the separation of powers. They're under the executive and administrative branch, nor can they set
I
policy or.
but in Article 1, legislative court can't either do that either, and they do. ALJs do it all the time. They create their
Well, let's
own.
not go. Well, let's not go too far off the. Okay, so back to the point. State. Do you recognize that state statute are the body of law under the conduct of the sovereign nation state? Do you recognize state statute as the sovereign law for the state?
No. Currently, I don't recognize that at all. Anything that has to do with the statute is clearly, to everything I've studied, has to do with an engagement of commerce, some type of contractual agreement or cooperative arrangement, which that I do agree. If I'm doing Uber, I've got the care and custody of passengers. I'm making a fare and fee, which I don't have the right to utilize public property to do so without, being taxed. That's fair. All right.
Okay.
However, my ability to travel as a traveler from A to B without being harassed or stalkified, that shouldn't be happening. It's a waste of time, let alone, and I can't.
Right.
Go
I mean,
ahead.
I get the sentiment. Okay, that's an emotional engagement. That's just how you feel about it. But when it comes down to it, not even the federal district courts can usurp the authority of the state and its political interests. Not okay. It can't do it because the separation of powers stands in the way. And not only that, but the federal courts and federal side of law is basically barred as an apolitical branch of government. The state and its operation under the conduct of its laws and its constitution are political issues. Those are political in nature. So
Sure,
the judiciary, Article 3 judiciary can have they cannot usurp that authority. The states are sovereign.
well, correct, and you're right about that. Unfortunately, though, the problem for the state of California or the state of Nevada, that clearly outlines with just that terminology that this is a federal territory. It's just a territory. Therefore, underneath the J Treaty or the States United,
what is a federal territory?
in the state of California. It's not referencing the Republic of California, the Republic of Nevada, or any other republic. You're referencing a territory of the federal government or its corporation. So the state of California has an overlay of a commercial agreement, right? That its conduct,
I think we lost you.
it's going to reflect in a.
Hey, we're losing you, man.
Sorry,
Can you hear me?
phone call. Sorry, I had a phone call that was coming through. Anyways, once again, all of these states united under the J Treaty, and then it transitioned its name. It's a commercial activity. That's all they're doing. And you've spoken this at length. It's commercial. All right, it's not confusing here. So the idea is to educate the enforcement side, the spearhead, right? Law enforcement, LEOs. It's to educate them. What are you engaging with? Are you engaging with actual law, or are you engaging with color of law? And I've had to sit there and talk to cops at length saying a penal code is not a law. A statute is not a law.
It is a law. It's called positive law as opposed to natural law. That's what it is, a law. It's this, you cannot remove the sovereignty of the state to create its own laws and to conduct its government under its own constitution. That's why it is a sovereign nation state. You can't take that away from them.
Well, then let me bring this forth, right? Let's say we get a traffic violation, right? I get pulled over. I'm doing 80, but I'm not acting crazy. I'm just doing 80 in a straight line, right? There's nothing reckless about my behavior besides I'm going 80 instead of 65. I get pulled over. I refuse to sign a citation. I don't even want to qualify the signature of the citation. So this cop says, well, then I'm going to take you to jail. And I go, well, actually, you're going to take me before a magistrate because you can't just take me to jail. You can't be judged during execution. I've been convicted. So they're going to do what they want to do. I go before this, once again, Article 1 court, this administrative law judge that has the word judicial officer, though they're not of the judiciary. And now I'm brought before a commercial activity absent, right? Of any contract that has been actually fully disclosed to I, right? So they've committed many problems right here.
You're not necessarily correct. I'll argue that they are, in fact, part of the judiciary. They receive their power from the plenary powers of the Congress over commerce and trade. So they actually grant.
That's what I'm agreeing with you about. It's a commercial thing, so that's fine. But if I'm not engaged in commerce,
the state needs.
I know they presume.
Well, we're going in circles because I already addressed that. You are actually in commerce because you're on the public way. You're not in the private. You're in the public when you're on the public highways. It's defined in Phillips v. Kenosha. Let me let Mac Bone sound off here.
Well, the thing about it, the reason why they have the right to give you a ticket because that's a debt tender for use of their public commerce when you're on the public highway, and even going over the speed limit is a debt tender infraction of that public commerce thoroughfare. That's why the officer has the right to give you a ticket. Because there's also codes connected to that as well. There's also uniform commercial codes connected to that as well. And the only way you can really go up against that is that you got to argue that ticket in court, in a court of commerce. Yeah, because even going over the speed limit, that's a violation of the public commerce, human commercial codes.
I agree.
So,
Go ahead. You can respond to that. Go ahead, Wolf.
we're speaking about the sovereignty, right? It goes on here. It says only the people are sovereign and have rights. Bureaucrats in their capacity are not sovereign, have no rights. They have authority given by the people and are subject to the statutes. That is, they are, right? The state cannot diminish right of the people, and that's Hurtado v. People of the state of California, 110
Right.
U.S. 516.
Now the thing about sovereignty comes from natural law, not positive law.
Correct. And I'm not. So I'm giving a bifurcation here, right? So when I've gone into
Okay.
court, you know what? I'll let us right know there's a distinction. You know, so that's my thing.
Which court? Are you going into criminal or civil? Law? Which law? Criminal or civil?
We both know that criminal is still civil in its nature. It's still
But criminal law cannot recognize the distinction between the legal order and the natural order.
Neither of them can recognize that, or at least that's been in my experience. Even when I've gone into criminal matters,
No, they can't recognize the distinction between the legal existence and your natural existence. They don't recognize that under criminal law. Under civil law, you can make an argument because civil incorporates contract law such as trusts, estates, and all that kind of stuff, so they can recognize it. Let me look at the comment section real quick. Hold on real fast. Andrew Gates says, welcome, Andrew, by the way. Thank you for being here. Don't they usurp the state law all the time when the feds come in and arrest for cannabis because it's, quote, illegal federally, yet still may be legal in that given state? They're not usurping the state. So to answer your question, again, the states are sovereign. If the states want to legalize, that's what the whole Roe v. Wade recent action and overturning was all about. Justice Alito did a brilliant job of handing down the decision. They did not arbitrarily and capriciously outlaw abortion. What they said was when the justices finally did proper analysis on the law of, that allowed abortion holistically across the country, what they said was we had no right to make that decision or that choice because that is a political issue, meaning having to do with the conduct and government and constitution of the states, which are sovereign and separate and distinct from the federal courts. We had no right to ever had made that decision back in 1973. That is up to the states because they are sovereign. So to answer your question, Andrew, and I'll let everybody else chime in on that, when the state says we're going to legalize marijuana, that's why Illinois can do it. The federal government, even though they don't recognize it, it does not matter. The states remain sovereign. They can pass their own law. Go ahead. Who's next?
Well, that got me to thinking about that speed limit thing, because when you up there go beyond the speed limit, you're committing a violation. That's a violation of commerce. Therefore, the ticket, the debt tender of your violation against the speed limit. So, like when you go to that court, you can go there to contest it, and like if you don't win, you have to pay for that violation. Now, if you ever contest and win, you get like a refund notice of dismissal of the case. So like you going to the Walmart store and saying that, this product is defective, and you have the receipt that proves that, and when you get that refund, that shows you're not violating their commerce, their laws of commerce, because you saw the receipt proving that item you purchased is defective. So in other words, when you go into court, you got to improve the validity or the invalidation of the law concerning that situation, because you got the different levels of a criminal violation. Violation, misdemeanor, and felony. Now, when you up there go beyond the speed limit, that's a violation. So,
all right, go ahead. Let Wolf sign off on that. I got you on that one, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, you're completely correct. Once again, though, there's no controversy here. There must be an agreement or a contract, all right, and therefore that's what we're bringing into court. So we have abatement now, right? We're going into these Article 1 commercial venues underneath the colorable admiralty with the condition of contract of any form or type. It doesn't matter. And yeah, you're right. The Uniform Commercial Code governs that because they deal with securities. SF 24, SF 25, and 25A, the bonds. That's their security, or the orders of the court thereof. So we're going to come in and abate those proceedings by its process, right? And then you can come in and challenge subject matter and personam jurisdiction. What gave you the right, absent of a goddamn contract of any type? What gave you the right to sit there and pull me into here and threaten me under threat, duress, and coercion? What gave you any goddamn right? Nothing. Nobody gave you any right. And there's still
isn't citizenship an actual
validity of the contract?
So once again, you gotta rebut the presumptions of the court, and that requires a high level of education, and you got to be tenacious. You just got to go in
there.
Due
diligence. Going to your public law library.
It took me 3 times, right, to sit there and battle a traffic ticket. All right, 3 times I got kicked out of court, and I had to keep coming back that same day. I was like, nope, I'm not leaving. By the 3rd time, the administrative law judge dismissed the case.
That's where you have to do rigorous. That's the way you have to do a lot of rigorous due diligence, a lot of studying that law library. In other words, like they say, have your gun stacked up before you go to court.
Exactly. And you know what the shitty part is the average man or woman, they are so overrun with their day-to-day life of being a voluntary slave at some job just so they can get their little Jimmy and little Susie some food and just live their life. They don't have the time to really study these things. And this is what I'm at.
And that's why they hire private investigators to do the legwork for them. You know.
Yeah, but they still
let me say this, okay? In playing devil's advocate, okay? This system, it sounds to me like you're presuming or assuming that this system is anything other than commerce. The whole system is commerce. The founding fathers came over here to do business. They set up plantations. Right. They got slaves and servants, both voluntary and involuntary servants, to work the plantation, the fields. They saw that this place was fertile ground, ripe for industry. And so they came over here and they set up shop. That is the foundation. They laid it over the top of whoever was indigenous. I'm not going to get into that debate, but whoever was here
even
first.
Wall Street was a slave auction block. Even Wall Street was slave auction block when they first started.
Yeah, they came over here to do business. Okay, and so now when you got to. Hold on now. Okay, so when they're doing business, they did not have you in mind. They did not have my mom, any Negroes, any people that were not considered the original we the people or their ilk. They didn't have any of you in mind, any of us in mind. And so what happens next is, as they're setting up shop, 1868, 14th Amendment, after the Civil War, they afforded these foreigners that they had not originally intended to extend citizenship to, they included them. And so now you have these people that are included who are trying to act as if they were original here, okay, in the United States. No, you have a secondary type of citizenship. You don't have the original we the people citizenship. And so now when you're looking at this and you're saying, well, how can, Susie or whoever the analogy was, how can she's just concerned about raising her children? She don't know the law. She don't know this. Well, that's why they somebody put a business together and said, you know what the people need? They need representation. So I'm going to corner the market. I'm going to create these private international bar associations, and we will stand and defend the people. Go ahead, Will.
All right, so sure, I agree with that, and you're right. Those attorneys are fucking shitbags for the most part. And let us not.
Well, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I'm saying that. We all know this. All right, if you ever dealt with one, anyways. what is
They're
it? What is it?
useful. They're useful shitbags, though.
Amer-
They're useful.
what is it? Is it American Jurisprudence, Volume 7, Subsection 4,
Mm.
attorney-client relationship, who the real
Attorney-client
obligation is
privilege.
to? Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. All right. We
Attorney-client
all
privilege.
know their obligation is to the courts because they're securities. Anytime there's a pecuniary interest in the matter, which whether it be criminal or alleged civil, it's all civil, but still, it's still a pecuniary interest. And
let me correct.
you know
Let me
what?
correct you real quick. Their first duty is to who?
To the court.
Commerce.
The first duty is to the bar. Yes,
To the bar,
the first
to the
duty.
bar.
The first duty is to the bar. The second duty is to the court. The second duty
Third is to the
to.
client.
That's right.
Third is
So
to the
first
client.
to the bar, then to the court, then to the client.
Correct.
Yeah. Now
Okay.
trying to get these guys to talk about the bar,
Well, I want to ask you this: what is the bar? What is the bar that they're talking about?
it comes from the guild from England. It's still called the guild there, or barristers. And then this is like a sister
barristers.
company to my comprehension. Like they created the bar. As far as the acronym British Accredited Registry, I haven't seen anything to really validate that, but
No,
they are
there
from
is no
England.
there's no validity in that. That's conjecture for right now. I've never seen any proof of that.
Same, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, the British accredited. That's more the romanticism and sentiment from people that probably can't back that up.
But you know what? If you do look at the history of where they came from, it still stands. I mean, it's pretty creative of an acronym.
Yeah, I know it is.
You know,
like
that's
the
the
Bible.
thing about when they created this corporation. When they created this corporation, when they talk about we the people, they're actually talking about we the oligarchs, we the wealthy.
Exactly.
So
they're
the
aristocratic families. Yeah.
But because the aristocratic families wanted to protect their wealth from the madness of King George, so to speak.
Taxation.
Because King George was getting mad with the taxes for some reason. So we're gonna keep our wealth from the madness of King George. We're gonna establish some colonies over here, and those 13 colonies were established by 13 oligarchs.
Of course.
13 oligarch families.
So Courtney, I gotta get off, but I'd like to read one thing. We the people are a republic. We the people are a republic, not a democracy, which is just the first step to an oligarchy. And everybody should be clean and clear to comprehend that, have an understanding and overstanding, and know where the path stands. Because when you're operating in commerce, that is a democracy, that is mob rule, it's a corporate rule. They have a 98.7% conviction rate when you go into their civil or criminal courts. If it's the state, which is a fictional entity, you can't cross-examine it. You can't have the state swear in. So how are you supposed to mount a proper defense? Remember, we are a republic, and wherever we find ourselves at, no matter how unfair, somehow, I mean, we're the common denominator. We're the cause of it, whether directly or indirectly. So I just want to leave that there. I appreciate your time, everybody that's listened. I got to get ready to work.
Appreciate you coming in, Black Wolf. Appreciate you coming in.
Well, all right. We'll see you Sunday then at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Roger that.
Later. All right, man. Peace.
I gotta tell you something. When I was in Little Rock, Arkansas, it was interesting. In the neighborhoods of the East End, the low income neighborhoods, that about a few miles away, there was like a public UALR law library. And then I'm up there looking at how these stupid Negroes up there arguing with these cops in this neighborhood, while over there they can go to that public law library down the street and be prepared to deal with their case. Because the thing
I think we lost
to argue with you the validity and codes and all that. His job was to enforce the validity of the job. Now,
Backbone, you breaking up pretty bad. Try to get. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's what I don't understand why my people be acting fool with these cops. Their job is to enforce the law, not argue the validity of the law. You want to argue for, but I was up there, yeah. And then
that is correct. The People are misconstrued. You think you're going to win. You think you're going to win an argument on the side of the road with a cop.
You're
It's
just gonna
not
get
really
arrested.
yeah,
You're just gonna get arrested.
or they're just going to disregard you. So you can't win that because they are not attorneys. So they can't give you legal advice. And secondly, they are not judges. And thirdly, they are not the legislatures. So to argue with them is really a moot. It's an erroneous waste of time.
Yeah, it is. When you can like go to the public law library, attend the public meetings that you can have with your state legislator, that sort of thing. Like I'm here in Texas with the Dallas area rapid transit, the DART people, I went to that board of directors meeting and like state the cases for the people who can represent themselves. And I told them there's going to need to be a change in the codes of how you run this. And if some of y'all can't improve the codes of the system, some of y'all need to like resign from your positions. And I told them, I told them, if anybody, I told them I'm busy working as a private security enforcement officer myself, but if anybody wants to have a petition to change the codes of this, let me know. I'll be the first one to sign it. And that's how it starts.
Yeah, I'll tell you, just like Wolf was talking a moment ago, there's a big misconception about this democracy versus republic. Listen, I've talked about this before.
Yes.
If you can't keep the republic, then you don't deserve the republic. The fact that you are depending upon the government or a system outside of yourself to administer and manage your own affairs in the state in public trust, say that you don't deserve a republic. And so Benjamin Franklin is allegedly quoted as saying that when asked, what do we have now that you signed this Declaration of Independence and all this kind of stuff, not the Declaration of Independence, the United States Constitution and all that kind of stuff. He's quoted as saying, you have a Republican form of government, a form of government's Republican, right? Only if you can keep it. So the fact of the matter is because of the public trust, because of the need of governmental regulation over you to keep you safe, the need for a military to keep you safe when you're supposed to have a militia, okay? The need to do that, it matter of fact proves that you are not able to manage your own affairs in a state. And therefore, you sacrifice that. And then what happens is you succeed to the status of a democracy.
And usually democracies are made up of a group of people who are undisciplined, lazy, dysfunctional, and stupid, lacking self-control, never wanted self-control, and wanted everybody else to do everything else for them.
Yes, we live in a welfare state.
Yeah,
we're in a welfare state. We're completely dependent upon big government and big corporations. That is called fascism and communism. That's how that comes about. When big business and big government come together and now they all rule over the people, it's supposed to be the opposite way around. If you could keep the Republican form of government, you are promised. But that means you got to stand up. You got to do your own stuff. You got to pluck your own chickens. Allegedly, you can't just go to the grocery store and everything is neatly organized and canned and skinned for you. That means that you do things the old. That means you do things the old American way, where you plant. Everybody was farmers back in the day. Now you don't even know how to plant. You don't even know how to put a seed in the ground now.
And as speaking from a person who is descended from farmers, that takes a lot of work. I mean, even the militias that the feds went up against. The reason why the militias were defeated because they were highly undisciplined. No morale, no structured ordinance, no structured ordinance of training.
Yeah,
that's why I want to consult with you about developing my own firm, my own business. And I told those friends of mine, I said, hey, man, I even got a code standard principle systems of value when it comes to mental, emotional, and physical training. The principles of body, mind mastery. Because now I begin to see why certain security guard companies don't last long, because there should be a code and standard principles when it comes to physical conditioning as well. Not just
absolutely. Well, you look at all these cops. Most of these cops are overweight. Like, it's crazy to
Yeah.
me. Like, this is, you're supposed to be tip top. You're supposed to be the standard. And some of them looking, I can't even believe some of these cops, the way they look. I mean, it's
Oh
just
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Like, how
Like some of them.
you really, like, you think you're going to chase me? Come on, man. Hold on,
Yeah.
let me get to this comment section real quick. Hold on. Gary Mendez
Go ahead.
says, for when they shall, oh, he's quoting scripture, for when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction cometh upon them. All right, very
Right.
good, Gary. Gemini says, but they do not keep you safe. They're trying to get rid of us all. Well, I mean, that's a far-reaching assertion. That's very well. What good is it if they kill all the people? You know, how is the government going to even have anybody to regulate? I mean, so I don't think
You know, yeah. Sometimes I call police officers the janitors of commerce because every time something pops off, you know, they come here to clean up the mess. You know, whether it be a domestic dispute or maybe this stupid black lady that ran her vehicle to the Popeyes because she didn't get the right amount of biscuits. That happened in Florida. I mean, here come the janitors of commerce. The police officers clean it up.
That's
That's
right.
why I also call them the janitors of commerce because these same people, these same fools that want to hold court with the police officers, they're probably going to be the same people that, okay, where's the police officers at to get rid of these crazy people up there destroying my property.
Yeah, yeah. You can't get nobody to stand up nowadays. Everybody too busy. All they want to do is videotape to put it on TikTok to go viral. Ain't nobody helping nobody. Back in the day, if men saw a woman getting whooped on by her boyfriend, they risking life and limb to set that situation straight. Nowadays, we video it. Ooh, he got her. Ooh, like, I mean, really. And you wonder why we got to depend upon government to keep us safe, because we we can no longer depend upon our neighbors to come and act as a concerned citizen or provide a civil service in defending women or children.
And then you got these social justice idiots of them messing up too. It's like this. I mean, they're so stupid, man. I'd rather ask a police officer to hold a picket sign for me than them, because it's like, you know, I mean, you got these stupid SJWs up there protesting a oil refinement factory for some reason, and it's like, ma'am, what we're up there manufacturing is cooking oil, and that made me laugh, man. Cooking oil. So you up there protesting something about cooking oil? I mean, crazy, man. But see, that's what happens when you don't do your due diligence. They don't do their due diligence in the science, philosophy, of law before they do this mess. They just go up there, you know, and then like the old country saying, people are in a hurry to jump on the bandwagon without even knowing who's driving.
Exactly.
I mean,
Black Lives Matter was a huge demonstration of that. Some people didn't even know what they were arguing about. They didn't know what they were fighting about. And
in the end, it was like actually protecting the rights of black lesbians, not black men. Black men were like the sacrificial lamb, the cannon fodder for that. And then, you know, that black Republican politician, Candace Owens, exposed that they used the funding of Black Lives Matter so those founders can live in like mansions and everything.
Oh, of course.
And it's like, you know, I asked a friend of mine, why would I, as a heterosexual black man, be trusting an organization founded and led by black lesbians to back me? No, I wouldn't. Actually, I would want the court to go ahead and like arrest them and like according to certain uniform commercial codes, revoke their charter, because they ain't about no Black Lives Matter. They about some Rainbow Lives Matter. You know,
we ain't gonna get on that tonight. But
I understand.
Another show.
But it's like it's about self-interest, man. People use the uniform commercial codes to further their self-interest. That's why they created the system. And you know, that's the thing about the oligarchs, the wealthy, the corporate owners. They use the uniform commercial codes to protect their interests, and they use the citizens to do it based on the citizens' self-interest. Yeah, we gotta do a better job of separating the United States government and its system from the argument that there are corrupt oligarchy or aristocratic families or the hidden hand. We got to separate the two, because you're basically vilifying where you're at. This is the government that you are a part of,
Okay, and it's set up to do commerce, and you need commerce in order to feed your family. Without the mark, you can't buy, sell, or trade. That is real life. You already
Right.
have the mark. You had the mark, but they
The
you,
Social
ba- you
Security number.
basically you well in
Social
combination
Security.
with the legal name.
Right. The legal
Okay,
name,
because
birth certificate,
you
and
got to
all
have
that.
you got to have a capacity first of all, right? You got to have an entity, just like forming a corporation. You have to
Yes.
incorporate or create that entity first, and then what you do is you give that entity a legal name so that it takes on its own separate existence. That's the whole point.
And that also
Okay,
makes the corporation citizens as well,
it makes a
because they fulfill
corporation citizen.
because they fulfill a certain social contract with the Uniform Commercial Codes as well. They do a
Who is
certain
that?
function. Well,
Who is
like
that?
like corporations like Kroger, they commit a function in providing food, groceries, that certain thing. Like a certain security company, Securitas, they provide security. In other words, they
Okay.
provide a function. They provide a function that
Yeah.
that is applicable. That's why sometimes corporations are known as citizens too, because they provide a function within this commercial system of commerce.
I don't know if they're considered citizens. They might be, but I could have swore I saw a case that said that they are not citizens. But
Right.
I could
Yeah.
be wrong. So I'm not debating you on that because I'm not certain if I'm right about that. But
that's actually not really a fact for me. That's like a theory, because
yeah,
like corporations are persons.
yeah, they
Corporations are
are
fictionalized
persons in
persons.
law.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
persons created on paper, contracts. That's from my understanding of it. It's like when I started, studying that.
yeah,
And like,
they are
mhm.
artificial persons, and if you read William Blackstone's basically dissertation on the rights of persons and the rights of corporations. He, being the a very notorious jurist, he spells it out and tells you why they even came up with artificial persons, including the state, and what its purpose is, why they had to do it through an artificial way, a legal way, as it were. That's what he explains that. You might want to read that over.
Now check this out. The thing about the AI, Sophia, that's an artificially
Yep,
created entity as well. So now with the
exactly.
AI, you're gonna have the artificial created entity being created to be an artificial citizen.
Well, it ain't
That
gonna be
that
no
they
artificial citizen. It's gonna be a real shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So be
saying.
it.
Like a real, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's gonna be a real citizen due to what they did in the Middle East when you talking about Sophia. That's what that was the interesting thing about Sophia. In the Greek, it means wisdom. Wisdom.
yeah, yeah.
Actually goes back to an ancient Kemetic deity as well. So like
Uh,
they have a process, man, of why they do this. There's like an ancient precedent to all this that they had
oh
planned for
yeah,
centuries. Planned for
yeah.
centuries.
Well,
So
well, I contend that what we call his history is
mhm.
really a play that was written, like
Yes, play those.
Shakespeare. And
Yeah, because
all we're doing is acting out a play that was written by the
the victors.
ideologies of people from throughout history. Just like
Yes.
today, all of these movies, they're demonstrating it for us. All of the movies that you are watching today, most of them are just rewritten from movies from back in the day or events that took place back in history. This is what is
Like
happening
mhm.
when it appears that there are prophecies coming past, like somebody foretold from the past these things that we are now going through. What it really is just that we're just acting out. Remember, somebody is guiding the sentiment of the people. Remember, politics is the science of government, the study of how to control the way you think. So they use television programming. Day in, day out, you're being indoctrinated and they're steering you right towards the writings of the elite or aristocratic families who wrote how to take over a country or how to, you know what I'm saying? But we're talking again, not about government per se, the system. We're talking about the individuals that are behind the system who have ulterior motives. And they really, quite frankly, just want to stay rich. And
That's
they
the
want
thing about.
you not to
Mhm.
be able to compete with their riches. That's what's going on.
I mean, that's my understanding of politics. You know, politics is the art and science of influence, leverage, and power.
That's
Because
it.
they're always going to like do what they need to do to develop the influence and leverage to develop and keep their power. Now,
Yeah, but I just want to be
it was known as
clear
the
that
art of the
this.
kingmaker. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
art of the kingmaker. So it's like they do what they put these certain things in place to keep their machine going.
yeah.
That's
What do you
why.
think? What do you think John Wick is about?
Oh yeah, man, it's about a transference of power. You
Okay,
know,
that's what
I
it
mean,
is.
he was excommunicado, but he had to like go through certain rituals to get back into power to be able to challenge the high table.
Yeah,
He
and
had
they
to be
using
accepted by
gold.
Roma again. Yeah, gold. I
They
mean,
use
which is a system of
gold
commerce.
coins. Yeah,
System
they're
of
using gold
commerce.
coins.
And then when they did that blood marker, but that's what the blood markers are making of a personal contract.
That's right.
And then like who are the enforcers? The assassins of the high table. They're the enforcers.
Yep. Yeah,
I
one
mean,
day, one day we should do a show. Maybe this coming Sunday, maybe you and I can do a show and break down some of these movies that are very pervasive in all these esoteric meanings and all that. That'd be kind of cool to do. We should do a segment on that.
hey, you know what, man? A good movie to break down would be The Big Short, starring Ryan Gosling and Brad Pitt. And it was about that mortgage crisis that happened in
Yeah,
2008. That would be
yeah.
a good movie to break down right there. Because that
That
talks about
that'd
all
be
sorts
more
of
on,
codes of commerce right there concerning real
right.
estate.
Right, that would be more of a financial economical. But I would really like to break down as far as the application, those how those movies and those playwrights and all that kind of stuff, what they're telling us about, the birth certificate, legalities,
Yeah.
artificial persons. If you watch the movie Barbie, oh my God,
Oh yeah, where Ken was
oh
up there
my
finding about his
God,
own identity when he up there decided to step out of the Barbie world. You know.
man, I could
Yeah.
not believe it. When I sat down and watched that movie, I could not believe how much information they divulged. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
they, they are crazy. Y'all, everybody needs to go watch Barbie. We're gonna discuss that this Sunday. Did you see it yet, man?
Yeah.
Bro?
Yeah, I'm still here, man. It's like, yeah, I heard about Barbie from Sly, man, about how when Ken stepped out of the Barbie system and stepped into the system of the real world, he
I'm
discovered that
saying,
he can change his identity to be involved in that system outside of Barbie. And Barbie didn't
right.
like that. Barbie didn't like that. That's why he called himself, instead of Ken, he started to call himself, according to the new system, Kendo. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, all these systems that you got to deal with. I mean,
They spilled the beans on that, man. I'm telling you, if you didn't
yeah,
see Barbie, I would recommend you spend this weekend or tomorrow, go see Barbie. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Y'all gonna be tripping like, oh my God, they putting everything out right now.
yeah, they're still showing Barbie at the theater.
I'm not
Uh,
sure, but I
okay, I
recommend you go
might.
see it.
Okay, I'll definitely check it out later on. Later on, then. Yeah, because they revealed a lot of deep stuff with that movie, and then they also revealed a lot of deep stuff with the John Wick movie series. You know,
Yeah.
like when Winston, told him, I said, "Look, John. I mean, I know you made that deal with Santino. I know he like pretty crazy, but
All right.
remember the rules. Without the
The
rules,
rules.
we live like the animals. In other words, without the rules, we deal with like natural law, and in natural law, anything goes. That's what it meant by the animals. You know, anything goes, and that's like
Well,
he
this is.
said. I mean, that's what he meant when he said that. You know,
Hmm.
without the rules, there's natural law, and we
Yeah.
deal with the animals, anything goes. And that's
That's
the
right.
thing he told him, man. If you want to have a choice, you must first fulfill the contract that you made with Santino, the blood marker. Then after that, you can do what you want with them.
That's right.
You can do what you want with them.
Yeah,
And
the
you know that.
system is at war. The system is at war with natural law, and
Hmm.
natural law is at war with the system. And I should actually qualify that. I don't mean they can't
That's what John
ever.
Wick talks
They
about.
can't
That's
exactly.
what John
They
Wick
can't
talks about.
actually.
Natural law being at war with positive law. That's what John Wick
They
talks about. But because in
they
that
they
second
can't
one,
actually.
Right.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
They can't actually ever merge per se. Not okay for positive law and natural law to merge, or for a human to merge into the cartoon world or the artificial world. That is a trespass, a moral wrongdoing, meaning a sin.
Right.
That's actually what sin is. Okay, they're not spelling it out for
Trespass.
you in the Bible, but a sin is a trespass, meaning to go somewhere where you are not permitted to be at. And so, if a human traverses over into the artificial, becoming a cartoon, they make fun of it in some of the movies, right? Okay,
Yes.
so that
Like
is
Cool
considered
World.
a sin because you are breaching the moral law. The moral law says natural is here and fiction is here, and they are forever separate. And so what's
That's right.
happening now, to Mac Bone's point, is with this introduction of the AI, the first induction of Sophia, the AI robot, as the first citizen of Saudi Arabia, and that being declared, what they are attempting to literally do is to merge the AI, being the artificial side, with the natural realm. And they gave it a body. They gave it a
Yeah,
body.
gave it a body. I mean, that was the thing about that movie in which Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe starred in, Virtuosity, where they develop a silicon body for the guy to incarnate in the real world, Virtuosity. I mean,
That's
like you
it.
said, like it's talked about in the Lord's Prayer, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Yep.
Right, right there. So, that's the thing about John Wick, man. John Wick introduced his natural law by up there killing Santino on continental grounds.
Yep.
Because he realized, you know what? The natural law of this matter is no matter what I do, he's still going to come after me.
Yep.
He's still going to come after me no matter what I do. Even if I wait for him to come out, he's still going to send people after me. So to put a pause on that, I'll just shoot him on continental grounds and then go through this process of using natural law to get back to the good graces of the high table and all that. And that's why Winston up there made the bet with him in chapter 4 to where, hey, get back in touch with the Roma, and then hey, you be able to challenge the high table. And then like John Wick would set a trap for that Merovingian. And Winston said, "You idiot." He didn't even shoot, and that's how he's had to get him.
Yeah, he didn't even take a shot. Yeah.
And by doing what he did, he was able to save the life of Cain's child. And have Cain be free as well. So hey, I won't make the shot. I'll let Cain shoot me, and then let this dude think that he got me. Because the only time that the Merovingian wanted to kill him was that if he had an easy shot to take him out. But like John Wick said, this John Wick is going to be the one to kill you, regardless of what you do, regardless. And that's been interesting, man. I mean, that's what I really can't stand about our people. They really don't know what they really got to deal with when they're trying to deal with this thing about sovereignty and freedom. So you got to understand. You got first to understand the board in which you're playing on. They don't understand the chessboard.
That's
they don't
right.
understand what they're dealing with. In order to be able to defeat them, you got to use the law that they created to defeat them. You got to be able to do it with due diligence. And that's why I couldn't stand about Tariq Nasheed. That's why I told Tariq Nasheed, no, you need to stick to Mac lessons, man, and leave that politics mess alone, because you have no understanding about how the politics really work. Dude is just a sounding board, I said, man, no, you need to stick to Mac lessons. Leave the politics to the professionals.
All right.
Yeah. And that's why, when he up there talked about that history museum, I knew there was something fishy about it. It turned out to be a nightclub. There you go again. Always wanted to deal with the symbolism and not the substance of the matter. But the powers that be, the oligarchs, they always deal with the substance of the matter before they deal with the symbolism of the matter. That's how it works. But that's the thing. I mean, I told him you always gonna get hemmed up by the system because you don't want to develop the winner's mindset and use the winner's tools to have the system to help you win. Because as I said time and time again, the system is made for those who want to win.
That's it.
And if you want to be wealthy, You still got to use the system to be wealthy.
That's it.
You can't be wealthy outside the system.
That's it.
You got to make
All
a
right, man.
license. All
We've
right.
been on for 2 hours and 30 minutes. We got to save some for Sunday. Hopefully you'll join me on Sunday.
Sure.
Great content, great commentary. I appreciate you as always,
Sure.
Mac Brown.
Thank you.
Gemini, thank you for your comments. And yeah, we will cover some movies on Sunday and uncover some of, we'll let Mac Brown go to town and uncover some of the hidden esoteric meanings in these movies and what have you. She said, Gemini says The Matrix. Oh, absolutely. We all know The Matrix is just disclosing everything.
The Matrix.
Gemini said The New Wizard of Oz. Absolutely. I actually have a series where I literally sat down and paused and started The Wizard of Oz from start to finish and gave my commentary on it. One of these days, I'm going to share that with everybody, but I do have it. It's already recorded. But with that being said, thank you all for being here. K Anonymous is talking, I think that's gibberish. I'm not even sure because I see a lot of consonants together and that doesn't spell anything. But thank you for your
even the equalizer would be a good start because, like he said, the answer is right in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
So we'll touch a little bit of that again on Sunday. I want to thank you all for being here. Make sure that you don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. And we're growing, we're learning, we're figuring this thing out. We do have Remedy. A lot of exciting things are going to be happening over the next couple of months here at Knowledgewell Media. We'll definitely have Mac Bone on. He's full of a lot of information, knowledge. Obviously, he does his homework, and I hope that you're doing yours too. And with that being said, now you've been made free. The question is, what are you going to do with it? All right, and make sure that you realize that none of this information is meant to be legal advice in any way, shape, or form. So if you do need legal advice, please seek yourself a competent attorney. You can send donations to the scroll across the bottom of the screen, which is our Cash App, $AmericanConsulate. If you appreciate this type of content and wanted to continue, that's the way that you can do it, okay? Thank you for that. You can reach out to us for personal, private consultations, individual consultations at our knowledgewell4u@gmail.com, right there below. Make sure, again, you hit that thumbs up button on your way out if you did not do so on the way in. We love you all. We could come and see us over at our Patreon. Over at our Patreon is our private exclusive club where you can get inside information, videos, and content that the public is not allowed to see. So if you're interested in that, that's how you do it right there on the screen, patreon.com/knowledgewell4u. With that being said,
peace
we
and
will
many
see you. Yes, sir. We'll see you on Sunday right here, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right. Don't be late. We love you.
Peace and many blessings. All right.
Talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Start your journey today by liking, subscribing, and sharing our YouTube channel, Knowledgewell Media, or by going to our Square site at knowledgewell-media.square.site and perusing over the available content and information. Also by submitting your email at the bottom of the Square site page in the Stay in the Loop section to receive priority information, specials, and other insider details. Or by signing up for a 1-hour consultation to tailor your specific educational needs in beginning your journey. You may do so at the aforementioned Square site, once again at knowledgewell-media.square.site.